other 3 people who are also shooting the same tank is completely beyond any sort of reasonable expectation that anyone would do any fucking thing ever. God damn it! Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire official podcast. You are listening to episode number 57. This is a show where we like to talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, and really not at all political discourse. I am your host, Tactic Angel, and with me is the subtly chuckling Midget Radio, my murderous socialist friend.
Hello,
Midget Radio. How are you?
I'm doing well. Tactic Angel, how are you?
I'm okay.
That's good. That's good to hear.
I couldn't help but notice that you were a little bit amused at our lack of discussion about political discourse.
Yeah, I guess it's been a while. It has been a while. I think that's probably because nothing has happened, though. I mean, pretty status
quo.
Pretty
much everything's on track, going well.
Right? Nothing to say. What's there to complain about?
It's all sunshines and rainbows.
Not even
politics.
Critique, really. Yeah, it's all brilliant stuff.
Well, I have a couple of opinions on style, but if you're okay with it, I am too.
Oh, yeah, completely okay with it all.
Midget Radio, are we drinking for today's episode?
Yes.
What are you drinking, buddy?
I'm excited. I have the Bulleit Bourbon today.
Bulleit fucking bourbon.
Very excited about this today.
Is this the first time? Have you already brought it to your lips for the first time?
Oh yeah. And it's tasty. I think it's a little, I don't know. It seems a little sweet to me. It's definitely not as potent as the rye.
Yeah, the rye has a kick. The bourbon does go down a lot smoother. Yeah. I think it is not a bad example of an American whiskey.
No, I like it. I actually like it quite a bit. It might be just because I really hated the Drambuie from last week. This is a huge step up. Huge.
Well, I'm excited for you.
Thanks. Thank you.
I hope it makes a great episode.
I have no doubt about it.
I am drinking Powers Irish whiskey.
Okay, I've never heard of this.
Well, it is a whiskey of superior quality with a distinctive pot still, spicy and honeyed flavor. It's a triple distilled whiskey matured in specially selected American oak casks for richness and complexity, according to the front of the bottle.
Specially selected. I wonder what that process is. This cask, not that one.
Probably. And I bet it's based on really stringent criteria. Like, this one isn't covered in mold and shit.
There are no holes. So.
Yeah, the whiskey casks with the holes in it, they don't work so well.
No, that was problematic.
Powers is, of course, a TV show that you can watch on the PlayStation Network.
Can you still do that?
Fucking whatever his name is decided to write.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Bendis. Season 2? Was there only 2 seasons?
Yeah, the thing is, like, Michelle Forbes isn't really as much of a player in season 2. Which made me not want to watch it very much.
Well, that's fair. It seems reasonable.
Michelle Forbes is in season 1. Oh God, I love her.
Yeah, she's amazing. She is amazing.
Oh, man, it's like season 5 and 6 of Star Trek all over again.
Yeah.
Oh, thank fucking God we got that out of the way.
Yes. Oh, Ensign Rowe. My truck is named after her.
Moving on. We are going to be talking about Luke Cage. Season 2. We talked about this a little bit. Luke Cage is a show about a character named Luke Cage. Luke Cage is based on a comic book character named Luke Cage. The name of the comic book where he appears most commonly is Luke Cage.
I think it might just be Cage, but
we talked about Luke Cage last week. To say the least, Midget Radio thought it was the best thing ever, and Tactic Angel was a little bit bored. Midget Radio, we have now watched the entirety of season 2.
Yes, we have.
How are you feeling about it?
I don't know. Tactic Angel.
It does get a little bit tedious. And by a little bit tedious, I mean pretty much all of the rest of the episodes are tedious.
It's the most frustrating show. Like, it's the most frustrating show to me right now.
We picked the best point arbitrarily to stop. Because I'm fairly certain that all of the last 7 episodes are worse than the first 6.
Yeah, they might be. They probably are. I'm trying to think. So we do get one, this isn't really a spoiler, but we do get one bottle episode, and there were aspects of that episode that I liked. But I don't know. I guess I could say that about the remaining episodes in this season. Like, there were little glimmers and little pieces that I kind of liked that weren't developed and never really came into fruition. Honestly, like, looking at this season overall, it seems like they had an outline of what they wanted to do, and wrote it as quickly as they could, and just slammed through the production. Because there's overall the whole season just feels kind of half baked to me, which is frustrating because there's a lot of stuff that I like that's in it, but it's just not not very well done in the end.
This is kind of like a decaf cup of coffee for you?
Yeah, maybe. A little bit I like, but mostly it's kind of a chore. Like,
oh man,
it's really frustrating.
I do kind of wonder to what degree they were on course or off course because of the death of Luke Cage's father's actor.
I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with it.
I can't imagine that it was that big of a deal, though.
No. I mean, I wouldn't think so, but I don't know, man. You know what? I kind of feel like, I mean, maybe this is making it a little bit more personal, but my feelings toward this season are somewhat similar to my feelings toward X-Men Apocalypse, where there's a movie in there, but it really wasn't. It wasn't finished. Like, they had an idea and they just fucking shot it, and that's it. It needed like 6 months, maybe another year of development. And then maybe you would have had something. Cause like there's stuff in this season that I really did like, but at the end I just feel like it's stuff that had potential. Its potential was never realized.
Yeah, I mean, if you could
expand on that a little.
It's hard without like going into any spoilers. It's like there are ideas in this season that I feel like are generally pretty good ideas, but just aren't very well executed.
I guess I was a little bit more like curious who and how you would find any part of X-Men Apocalypse to be a salvageable movie, other than that Apocalypse is a character who could potentially make a good movie.
Right. Well, Apocalypse in that movie is kind of interesting. In his sort of because he's like Magneto, you know, all the way though. Like we're supposed to inherit this Earth, that kind of stuff. I liked all of that, but you can't do that. You can't have any of that unless you build up like the really religious cult-like aspects of Apocalypse, which they completely failed to do in the movie. And then the cast, I mean, they cast that movie really, really well, but didn't really give those kids enough time to actually develop any real relationships with each other or do anything interesting in there. So it's like, it just feels like a piece of a movie that has certain elements working for it, but none of them are, but none of it was really fully baked.
Yeah, I mean, I could see with I could see with the Jamaican thing, and
yeah.
because I think we're on. By the time that you really get a feeling for what the motivation is of the characters that you've been watching do things in this movie or in this TV show, I think it's like episode 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Where it just takes you out of time.
It's way too late. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so this is what they're mad about? I mean, it's still fucking stupid, but this is what they're mad about?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So there's that. So there's a lot of things that felt sort of incomplete about this season. And then two, just some shifts into like what I felt were kind of over the top melodrama. Like, it's a comic book show. I can definitely get into fucking soap opera like melodrama, but this had a little bit too much toward the end.
There were several. I don't know. This show to me started getting into a formula where it was like every show has an action scene, and the action scenes never to me excelled really above what we've seen before. I mean, a little bit, here and there, but it consistently like not as entertaining as watching Daredevil or The Punisher.
Yeah, no, God, no.
Then like that was 5 to 10 minutes of any episode, and the rest of it was like, honestly, it started to feel like the Star Wars prequels, where it's like two people show up in a room and they have like a megalomaniacal chat with one another.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of did put my finger on what was my problem.
Okay.
With like the dialogue portion of this show.
Okay.
It's like everybody's posturing. Nobody ever says what they fucking mean.
Okay.
And everybody's too goddamn quippy. It's just and it's like it's laden with metaphor, and I'm just going to say this thing so I can set up this other thing, which is kind of like an analogy that doesn't really make sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't smart. And that was the reason why I think that like every time they said it, I was intellectually gagging on all of the shit that they were trying to feed me.
Okay. We'll probably need to get into spoilers to really drill down.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to say anything else? Do you want to rate the season? What do you want to do?
Let's rate it. I'm ready.
Midget Radio, 1 to 5. We've seen the whole goddamn thing. What do you give it?
I'm probably at a 2.
I am gonna go with a 1.5.
Right.
I was wrong. I gave it a 2 last week, but holy shit, was this a tailspin from from episode 7 to the end.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I actually did expect this season to get better as it went along, but it didn't.
And like the last 3 episodes felt completely fucking pointless.
Yeah.
All right, so spoiler tag is up. Midget Radio.
I don't know. I don't even know what to start with.
Okay, the tailspin begins where we cut off in episode number 6 was Luke Cage fights the Bushmaster.
Yeah.
On the top of the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And him go fall into the water.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna drown. And then I guess he doesn't because he's Luke Cage and the chorus sets in.
Wakes up or whatever, yeah.
Which I thought was, I was expecting more out of that. Like something's gonna happen here.
Yeah.
And what happens is that Luke Cage remembers that he's the protagonist and he can't die.
Yeah.
So he swims to the surface. I don't know.
I mean, I was fine. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. But yeah, that's how he comes back. And honestly, I can't really remember what happens from there until the bottle episode, which was like maybe episode 8, 9 or something.
You mean when they're in the Rand?
The
Is that
Rand pharmaceutical research place or whatever.
So you liked that episode?
I liked aspects of that episode.
Because there were, I'm going to say, honestly, there were one or two. Okay. I would describe that episode as we have 4 or 5 characters, and they're all in a building, and they take turns having a dialogue one-on-one with each other.
Yeah.
Which I thought was incredibly tedious.
I liked the conversation between Mariah and Luke's father. I
thought that one
scene.
was probably the best.
Yeah. I liked that scene. And then in general, the stuff between Luke and his father. Other than that, it was kind of a train wreck. And
holy shit, Nightshade and Black Mariah.
we get into straight up soap opera territory there. Just out and out. I mean, it was like Chinatown. I'm surprised there wasn't a fucking Chinatown reference. As much as this goddamn show likes to make references to things. But it's practically, she's my sister and my, like, whatever the fuck. Which I guess technically for Mariah, what, she'd be like her cousin and her daughter? I think that's how it would work. If she was Faye Dunaway in Chinatown.
It's just like you get into it and it's, our family was this way, but they weren't so good. And you're like, okay. And your father was gay, so your father's not the right person. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, to make this worse, your father is your uncle. Oh.
Wow.
Okay, that's weird. Oh, by the way, he
Also,
raped me. Okay. And like, I feel like there was 1 or 2 other things.
Oh yeah. And every time I
also
see you, I see his face and I fucking hate you for it, basically.
And it's
I've never been able to love you for that. Jesus Christ.
Well, this scene is shocking, and then more shocking, and then even more shocking.
Yeah.
And the most shockingest. It was the most bizarre information vomit I think I've ever seen in a television show.
It was. It absolutely was, and it really took me out of it.
Do you want to understand all of the things?
Oh, God.
Well, listen to this, but don't worry. We have a flashback in a future episode that's going to clear up any questions you have about this.
Yep.
Followed by a dialogue with dead characters.
Yeah. Which was also out of the blue and totally unnecessary. So what I like about this, I kind of like Mariah coming to like the realization that she's just as violent as all shit. And that, a lot of her do-gooding, is in a lot of ways just violent grabs for power. There's like, I like that aspect of it, but it's just not very well done. Like it's just not very well done at the end of the day. I don't really buy
honestly,
it. Like
this season of Luke Cage could have been easily condensed into 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah.
And been a better show for it.
Yeah. Actually, what I really wish they would have done when they started getting into the flashbacks with the Jamaican stuff, because that was one of those things where I was like, I feel like this is something that I could have gotten into, but this is way too late, and I don't I really don't give a shit. And you're not going to show me anything more than the Stokes family fucking over Bushmaster family. Like, I know that's going to be the only thing really that we see. And we already know essentially that's what's happened. So this is all a little kind of just too late.
Well, we've kind of had to just accept it as fact.
Yeah, and it's like,
to make Bushmaster's character make any sense because nobody's telling us anything.
But it's a weird way to do it too, because we know like Bushmaster is like, we know from a scene that he said that like the Stokes family burned down his house while his mother was still inside. Like, we know all of those things happened. We've already heard that from his own mouth, and now at the very end of the season, we get to see it. It's like a tell first and then show. It's just weird because I thought it was show don't tell, but like we did the telling first, and then we fucking showed it at the ass end of the season. Like,
I kind of got the idea that. Okay, like if you were to look at like Nolan movies and you were to look at Memento,
yeah,
and like the thing that everybody learned about that movie is that you just don't tell the audience what's happening.
Yeah.
And like I like Memento well enough as the first time. I mean I don't think it's fucking rocket scientist stuff, but like I watched it and I was like, that's interesting. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I watched it one time when I was in college and I have not seen it for clearly 1,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like this one, it was like we're just gonna withhold information unnecessarily from the audience, and then eventually you kind of knew that it had to happen. It just, you wouldn't expect it to be more than 2/3 of the way through the plot before you realized what the character motivations were.
Yeah.
And it actually, at that point, Bushmaster was kind of out of it because
he's all fucked up, man.
The grenade. So he had like 2 or 3 episodes where he was basically on a couch like, guys, I'm fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they throw this at you and you're like, oh yeah, that's why that character that I haven't seen in 2 episodes is mad at this other character who's just constantly having these overwrought emotional scenes with her daughter. Holy fuck. At what point do you just move to another town and don't tell anyone?
Yeah, I know. Well, apparently, and maybe this is part of it too, apparently she's actually the daughter is actually like a villain in the comics called Nightshade.
Yes, she is. That's why I call her Nightshade.
I'm guessing that's like why the fuck they kept her around. You would think anyone else would be like, oh fuck this, I'm out. Like, she's hard to make sense out of. She is someone who I think kind of just does what the story needs her to do, apparently. She just does what the writers need her to fucking do. And that's it. But I kind of wish like that they had pulled, honestly, because I kind of like I like Bushmaster well enough, and I almost wish that they had pulled a Punisher with him, where they're like, let's follow this guy around for 6 episodes for fucking no reason that anyone can really tell, just to give him a chance to fucking breathe and like grow on screen. But instead of, he's just pissed off at the Stokes for all these reasons, and then we show why at the end of this season. It's just, I would much rather have had half this show take place in fucking Jamaica and not really understand why. Like, that would have been at least a ballsier and more interesting move than what we got, which was a bunch of, okay, I know he's pissed off, and then here's the exposition dump at the end of the season.
Yeah, by the way, try to reconcile this in your head and tell yourself that it all makes sense.
I don't know.
I mean, I agree. If this season was not as smart as the Punisher, I don't think that they could have or even tried or even thought of trying to do sort of the the Lewis Walcott.
No, I'm sure they
thing.
didn't. No, I'm no, yeah.
Just like, and for some reason Walcott never struck me as being out of the character of the show. Like,
Yeah.
I did occasionally get with the Jamaican stuff and the Bushmaster stuff that it didn't mesh, it didn't like dovetail like you would want it with the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Until you get to the end, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, Mariah walks into a bar and kills fucking everybody.
Everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
How fucking tedious.
Okay, so that brings me to Shades. So I love him, and maybe it's just the actor's performance that I love at this point, because it was real hard to figure out what was going on in his head for this entire season.
He was pretty inconsistent.
So one of the things I thought, because his relationship with Mariah doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I was thinking like it's kind of interesting if the reason that he's so attracted to her is that she was like, because he has a little bit of this in one of his few actual like speeches, but when he sees her kill Cottonmouth, like that he's seen her like do this ultimate gangster shit to her cousin, and he's had to do the same thing to Comanche, and like for him to sort of see like a reflection of himself in her, I kind of get that, like, because he has all of these beliefs and all of this respect for the fucking like gangster lifestyle and how hard, you know, you'd have to be in order to kill someone you love, you know. And that like that is kind of interesting to me, but but I feel like I'm putting that in the show, like especially at the end of this season. I don't understand it. I don't really, because the turning point for him is that execution in the bar when she just fucking massacres everybody. And like that's completely out of bounds for him, and I don't know, man. It just, it's hard to see what he sees in her unless it has something to do with what I just said, and I'm not sure that it really does. I don't really know. I don't understand what was going on in his head, and I hate that. I hate that because he's a great character, and
I mean,
it's just frustrating.
I'm gonna say something nice first, and like that whole scene where you start out and Comanche's talking to the commish, and the commish is like whatever, and then it all goes to shit.
Yeah,
like it's pear-shaped, and it's pear-shaped because essentially Shades shows up.
Yeah,
I actually really did like the play between Comanche and Shades.
Yep.
I thought they did a really pretty solid job.
Me too.
And it's a shame that it's in a season of this show.
Yeah.
That is so haphazard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
it's upset. Like it just pisses me off. It's like parts of this show that you're like, ah.
But like it is literally everything else that leads up to that and that extends on beyond that scene is just holy shit. What I mean, I understand. I don't understand the relationship between Mariah and Shades.
Yeah.
And it's a little weird, and honestly, my biggest problem with it is essentially that it neuters the character of Shades, because Shades was a cool character in season 1.
Yeah.
And then in this one, I said it in the first 6 episode review that we did, and I'm going to say it again. He's just a little puppy dog, like 80% of the time. And then like you get to these scenes where they allow the character and the actor to actually go through the craft. And like, you can tell that the guy who's playing him has a whole lot more conceptually in terms of what Shades is and where he can take the character. And it's just not the writers aren't giving him anything.
No, they aren't, and it's really really frustrating. Yeah, I was holding out hope that he was like kind of playing her a little bit, or that we were gonna see something between the two of them that would make him make a lot more sense, and we never got it. We never fucking got it.
But now he goes away to jail because of some legalese that we never saw in the thing. Great.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Maybe season 3 can be all about Nightshade because that's what it's clearly
there's
all
no
about.
way. There's just, please God, that's not gonna. It's not gonna make any sense.
To quote one of my good black friends, I would, what was it? Beat the brakes on that. I don't understand. I don't understand the parlance. I would beat the brakes on that. Nightshade is a very attractive.
Right, you want to bang her? No, I do too. I get it, but
but holy shit, do I not want to see her as a
no,
villain?
no.
It is beat the brakes.
Beat the brakes.
I don't understand it either.
I don't get it.
I feel like it's unnecessarily violent.
It does seem like, because you're like, you just immediately think of somebody stomping on brakes, right?
Yeah, right. And then but that's a good thing,
right?
I don't understand it.
Does she like that? I don't know. I guess if
if she does, then
you do it. But
yeah, definitely. But
amazing.
So anyway, I actually thought like Nightshade killing her mother was like a cheap fucking.
Yes, I did too.
And you're just like, great.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, by that point it was like, this show is just putting things in front of my fucking face now. Like
I kept pausing it. I kept pausing it to see like, seriously, how much is left of this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And then it's like Luke Cage and Nightshade show up at the reading of the will. And then,
I didn't understand that.
And Luke Cage is like, fuck that, I'm not taking any of this shit. And then the next scene we see Luke Cage taking all of that shit.
Yeah.
That Harlem needs a king.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. Well, if the next season is laden with references to the Republic and how
that'd be awesome.
Good and smart people can make really fucking terrible decisions, I will be 100% into that. But I have a feeling that it's not.
No, it won't be. But so now Cage, who's often I just an almost completely indecipherable character, I feel like, because he's probably not really a character. Because we had the maybe Luke has anger issues sort of arc, kind of, in the first half of this season, and then now it's Cage as Michael Corleone in The fucking Godfather for the last half of this season, and both of those come out of fucking nowhere. I don't see or understand any of it. It's really frustrating. And when you're a show and you make like really, really explicit references to The Godfather and the sort of Michael Corleone storyline, you're like, well, one of these is a movie starring Al Pacino, who plays a character who witnessed his father almost get murdered at the order of a police captain. And then that's kind of his turning point in the film. In Cage season 2, you have Mike Coulter, who is not Al Pacino, who just kind of randomly, I don't know, maybe I want to be this guy because, like, I love Harlem. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to feel about that. I don't see it as a turning point for him as a character. I don't see it as anything other than, I you know, whatever. I'm just going to, like, try to be this guy and keep Harlem safe. That's my like he's doing. I don't know. In my opinion, it's not a turning point. There's no arc here. It's still the same fucking Luke Cage. I want to protect Harlem. That's literally 100% of my fucking character. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring.
So no, I agree. And I agree. Luke Cage is such that any of these characters are really well developed. Luke Cage is probably the least well developed character in a series bearing his own name.
Yeah.
I was honestly thinking the entire time I was watching this, it's like, I've watched a couple blaxploitation films. They are usually not renowned for their writing.
No.
And I was kind of like, is this intentionally bad?
No.
Because like, on the bright side, most blaxploitation movies are about 90 minutes long.
Yeah, and they're fun. They're usually, like, the good ones are fun.
Yeah. So when you get into like the 13-hour mark of this, it's like,
and someone's a cousin, baby, daughter rape product. Like, that's not fun. I'm sorry. It's not a fun thing. Like,
yeah, there are too many scenes where people are crying for this to be fun. I was curious to see if you, Midget Radio, would have come back with that. And it's interesting that you, who I mean, I'd have to bow to your greatness here, have clearly a lot more experience in the genre, and also more appreciation for it than I do. Like, to not say that like that is a thing that is intentional and good is sort of telling to me.
What?
That okay. The blaxploitation movies are not particularly well written.
No.
And don't typically make a lot of sense, but at least are over quickly.
I mean, like they make enough sense. Like, the plot lines are always so simplistic, you know. Like, they're almost perfect action movies in the sense that there's like, what is the plot of Coffee? You know,
get out of the building.
No, the plot of Coffee is my sister was killed by a fucking drug dealer, so now I'm gonna kill all the drug dealers. My name's Pam Grier, goddammit. Like, that's a fucking fantastic movie. You know, so they usually have like simple through lines. Probably the best, in my opinion, the best written blaxploitation film is Black Caesar. That's just a wonderful movie that's a little bit like more complicated, and I think kind of out of the mold for a lot of blaxploitation flicks, just because it is really well done. But for the most part, I mean, they're pretty simple plot lines. So
I was just making a reference to Dredd and the most simple
I know
plot line in the world. Get out of the building.
But yeah, I mean, that is generally how they work. But they're fucking fun, man. That's the element. Like,
no, I get it, and like, there's a lot of swagger in them, and like,
yeah.
I don't think that, and that's sort of to go to the quippy manner that these characters all speak to each other.
Yeah,
like, I feel like that works better if you don't have to see scene after scene after scene after scene after scene after scene after scene of two people trying to play like sort of a verbal joust.
Yeah.
And neither of them are all that intelligent about it. It's just like, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It is consistently terrible.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I didn't have like, I don't know, man. I didn't have a huge, maybe it's just the performances that I really enjoyed in this season. The show is so well cast, but yeah, I don't know. It just, I just keep coming back to Half Baked.
I get it. And actually, like, the weird thing is, as the show went on, I liked the Bushmaster more.
Me too.
Because I kind of liked when, like, the Bushmaster and Cage were starting to work together.
Yep.
But it did get back into that soap opera sort of drama that, like, all the characters are consistently like moving in their moral positions.
Yeah.
And like, well, this episode I can trust him, but next episode, who fucking knows? Lo and behold,
yeah,
Bushmaster's doing something I don't want him to do. He's
Yeah.
taking too much nightshade. He's killing everybody in the thing.
Yeah. And it's fucking like, God, that's part of what's really frustrating about Cage's character is he's like, maybe I want you guys just to like kill each other off so I don't have to worry about you anymore, you know? And it's like it was kind of interesting. So Mariah, right, throws that huge free fucking party that like KRS-One is at or whatever, the fucking free benefit concert, and to invite everybody in so that Luke will have to be there, you know, so that he'll have to defend the club basically against Bushmaster. Like, okay, that makes sense. But like within 2 seconds of Bushmaster's attack, the entire fucking place is gone. And he's just attacking her guards and trying to kill her. And Luke's still fucking in the middle of the fight. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I thought this is what you wanted. Like, what do you want? Why can't I don't understand him as a fucking character. Like, it's just obnoxious. Why would anyone be afraid of like where Cage is gonna go as a character? He consistently will defend and do all of that shit all of the fucking time, even despite what he says to people.
Well,
like,
yeah, it's like he has. It's like he has the Batman one rule, but it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It doesn't.
Because he, like, consistently, like, you have these, like, he talks to Mariah, and Mariah's like, you're the one man that I can count on, whatever, and all this shit. And he oh God, I fucking hate this show. Anyway, so, like, they'll always have him walk up to that line where he's like, he's gonna do something really, like, really bad, right? Yeah. But then all of the time he reverts to choir boy.
Yeah,
and
it's a complete reversal to
First of all, like, do you? And I was thinking this while you were talking earlier. Did you ever get a sense, like a complete sense that made sense to you of why Luke Cage is so angry?
No, fuck no. No, that was the first half of this season and it didn't make sense. And
I didn't get that.
And it's like maybe it was his father, but then they appered to have resolved that. So I guess that's over. I don't know.
And I'm gonna go a little bit off topic here.
Okay.
There was an episode where fucking Danny Rand walks in the front of a building, and I was like, fucking Danny Rand, god damn it. And then like that was probably one of my favorite episodes after that.
God, because really?
Yes, because I actually think that Danny Rand and Luke Cage have a little bit of chemistry, which is fucking weird in this show.
You are fucking kidding me. That's interesting. Keep going, because I am totally on the opposite side of that fence. You keep going, though.
Okay, what I like about the two of them is like they're obviously from completely different worlds. And like Danny says, one of the dumbest things I've ever said, I've ever seen in a TV show, which is, you know, Luke, you're right. Money is like power. And you're like, really? What are you, like 5?
Yeah. Well, he is. Yeah.
and then Luke's like, no, man, you were right. And it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I like when, like, it actually brought me back to the few scenes in The Defenders that I actually liked. And like Danny Rand and Luke Cage sort of meshing together. I think that what is it, Finn Jones and Mike Coulter?
Yeah.
They actually do play well off of each other, but I think the writing is so consistently terrible that it just doesn't work. Like, I like the scene where, I even like when they fight together up until the point where he punches his hand and you're like, how does that work?
I know, it's a fucking Iron Man Captain America moment, basically, but...
Yeah, it's like, are we playing Marvel Ultimate Avengers again? Because I'm good for that. You can make a sequel to that any day and I will buy it. And Midget Radio and I will play the fucking shit out of that. But like they have that thing, and then they go to the Chinese restaurant and they're sort of talking. And I like even the stuff they were talking in the bar, and sort of there's actually sort of like a meta line which I thought was sort of funny, where it's like Mike Coulter turns to Finn Jones and says, "You seem different." And I was like, what do you mean? like the writing's not fucking god awful.
Yeah.
And he basically says that, and I was like, I like this show.
Yeah.
I like this show right now.
Uh,
In 5 minutes, I'm gonna hate it, but right now, I think that's funny.
Man, I hope like all hell you are right. I mean, I kind of thought those scenes, they just fell really flat for me. And I don't know, man. Maybe it was just the rest of the show creeping on me. But I kind of felt like neither Mike Coulter nor Finn Jones are particularly skilled performers. I don't think. And putting them together on screen, it was just dead weight to me. I hope you are right though. Maybe there is some chemistry there, and maybe I just didn't see it. But
I will say this: you get into a situation where you have Mike Coulter acting opposite Rosario Dawson, and Rosario Dawson's character is riding him hard, and everybody in the audience is like, I would love Rosario Dawson to ride me at least as hard as that.
sure.
And they have no chemistry whatsoever.
No, they don't know.
It's a lot like she's trying really hard. As you've put it, she's the best actress who has ever lived.
She's just amazing.
And like, even in spite of that, with Mike Coulter and the writers, the scenes don't work.
Yeah.
But then you take Finn and Coulter and you put those two together, and for some reason it's not quite as terrible and as like you would. I mean, maybe some of it is also that I would expect it to be worse than it is. But
Sure.
But I actually sort of think that they work together, and I like. I don't know. Part of it might be just me and getting along with some of my black friends, and we clearly come from different lifestyles. That like maybe I see a glimmer of that pampered rich kid, plus the disadvantaged minority. I don't know. I just think for whatever reason that it works.
Well, good, man. I'm glad that you feel that way. That's awesome. I wish I had the same reaction, but man, I did not.
I so hate Danny Rand.
I do too.
And it's just so.
But then it's like they fight. I did really like when they fought together. I like that scene, and I hate this show because the parts that I like are generally like, especially toward the end, just got shallower and shallower. I was like, man, I'm really fucking bored, and I really hate Cage and Danny Rand together. But this fight is kind of awesome, and they're playing more Wu-Tang over it, and that I can totally get behind that. Like this.
I'm gonna say that the music dropped off in a big way.
I am not surprised by that. They played at least 2 more Wu-Tang songs. I'm pretty sure by the time they completely do this show, they will have played the entire 36th Chamber fucking album. I think they've already played like 3 or 4 songs off that one fucking disc already. But yeah, I love Wu-Tang. I kind of like seeing KRS-One. It's always interesting to me, especially because KRS-One's like more old school hip hop, and you can really tell the difference. And I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to me. And who doesn't love Wu-Tang except for Tactic Angel? What an asshole! But
most people would say, "What a discerning individual."
No way.
I was actually, I mean, that might be part of the reason why I dropped it a half a star, is also because like the music in the first half of that, we did get a good sense of, you know, some soul, some jazz.
Yeah.
That pretty much fell off, and by episode 9, I want to say,
Yeah.
we pretty much, it was just, you know, rap.
Yeah.
Street
I think
music.
we had Bob Marley's Kid for a while, I think, while Bushmaster owned the club. But yeah, then that was about it.
I don't know. I must have had a stroke somewhere in the middle there, but I mean, it fell off for me, and for me, like, even the, like, just to say it and I'm not sure I've said it straight up, but I've implied it. When Danny Rand showed up, I was kind of hoping, like, they had that scene where Danny Rand kind of, like, he hits him on just for no reason, and then they start fighting a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe this will be the beginning of Luke Cage actually having some sort of stunt choreography.
That would be kind of, yeah, that would be all right.
Because, like, that was actually kind of neat. And, like, he takes those big swings and Danny Rand basically flips into the ground and makes him look like a punk.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, okay, yeah. Danny Rand, I'm like, when they were in the two-person fighting thing, I didn't think that he was getting complex choreography by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a little bit more than not trying at all.
Yeah.
But it did not play out.
Yeah.
We did not see Luke Cage trying to duck bullets that wouldn't hurt him anyway.
No. Yeah.
I honestly, and I'll say this, because we're moving into probably dead horse territory.
Yeah.
There was a part of me that kind of hoped that they would cancel most of these shows. And rather than do a whole bunch of shows, like, just have a title that was The Defenders, and it could come out with a season 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And whoever needed to, or was most logical to be in the show at the time, would be in the show.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes it could be kind of like the Luke Cage show, and sometimes it could be the goddamn Danny Rand show.
No.
Sometimes it could be Jessica Jones. And, like, you could play between them, because, like, at this point they're sharing so much in terms of, like, I have to see goddamn Foggy all the time.
I know.
I mean, we're sharing characters. They reference Karen Page.
Yep.
I don't think we saw her.
No, thank God.
They talk about Matt Murdock. It's like, actually, I don't want them to take away Daredevil show, but I would actually settle for the idea that Daredevil was folded in with all these other people to get rid of the extra shows that I don't think are actually advancing sort of the comic book. Like, okay, we talked after our last episode about whether or not we've reached sort of the saturation point.
Yes.
And, like, you I mean, it wasn't really a serious conversation, but you basically accused me of saying, you know, like, the bubble has burst for Tactic Angel. And you're like, I don't think the bubble has burst. I think the problem is, at a certain point, like, it's not enough to see a character that I like. I have to see a character that I like do something that is worth doing.
Yeah.
It has to be sort of, it has to
be actually
above,
good TV now.
Yes,
it has to be good television.
It has to rise above the pure existing point to being actually worth watching.
Yeah.
And, like, I would feel a lot safer if they were actually, like, folding all of these ideas that they had, and they didn't have to fill up 13 episodes of goddamn Luke Cage. Like, Luke Cage can do something for 2 or 3 episodes.
Yes, he can.
And then Jessica Jones can drop in for 1 or 2, and then all of a sudden Danny Rand's kind of like the main protagonist for 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And then, like, you can just, like, you can pass the torch, and like, that could be really, really fun.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of weaving this whole thing, but we end up with these long stretches where we're just watching one character, and particularly when we're looking at Luke Cage, who is at this point not a character.
Yeah.
It's really disappointing, and it's really tedious, and I think it hurts the entire sort of comic book genre if we have to, like, sit through this.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it does or it doesn't, because people are still watching this crap, apparently. So, you know, I think, like, for as far as, like, average television is concerned, these probably meet the fucking they meet the criteria.
I haven't
Daredevil,
watched
Punisher,
Agents of
these are
S.H.I.E.L.D.
exceptions.
in a while.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on like season 5 or 6 now.
Is it? It seriously hasn't been canceled?
No, people keep watching this crap. I don't even know how long Arrow has been running for. But yeah, I mean, people keep watching it, so you know, I think that gives you an idea of the quality level that it actually needs to meet.
But wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better if you did a thing like what I was talking about, and you could still have?
It would be better if shows were better in general. Yes.
God damn it!
You are right.
No, I mean like not dragging this out. Like you could, like one of the things, like when I was collecting books, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Avengers, and the Avengers was a long-running title, and I never understood the idea of the Avengers being a long-running title.
Yeah.
I was always of the opinion that the Avengers should come in for miniseries, and it could be 2, 3, 4, 6 episode or books, where it was basically something happens, the Avengers goddamn assemble, and they take care of it. Because like, I mean, this is probably because I read Iron Man, and like having Iron Man doing something in one book, and then having Iron Man also being the leader of the Avengers West Coast, which eventually became ForceWorks, which eventually became I'm fucking done with this.
Yeah.
Like, it was hard for me to figure out, like, how does he run a company on top of all of this other stuff?
Yeah.
Like, where does he get the time?
Yeah.
And like for you, it has to be even worse because Wolverine's doing 8 different things at the same time.
Yeah,
he's working like 40-hour days.
Yeah.
And for the Avengers, you're like, yeah, the Avengers assemble. They assemble for a specific purpose. They take care of a thing. They go about their merry way.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how the Avengers should work. So like when the Avengers starts up, it's like Avengers Infinity War and like Avengers something else.
Yeah.
Avengers the Mandarin Mandebacle.
Yeah.
Because we really like alliteration.
I like it.
Mandebacle. So like they would come together for these things, and like that would be a better way of running the Avengers, and that would be a better way of running this show, because then you could actually have like plot lines last as long as they should naturally last, rather than saying we have 13 episodes, let's fucking do something.
Yeah.
And there were solidly 6 to 7 episodes worth of content here.
Yeah.
And they made it twice as long as it needed to be.
Yep.
And it had twice as many terrible scenes as it needed to have. I mean, I think like in the long term, that hurts. Our entire purpose is comic book lovers and superhero lovers, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's never the way the industry has been run. We have an opportunity to make a bunch of money if we produce a whole shitload of content right now. Let's fucking do it. This is a dying industry.
I don't know. Like every time you look at it, you can look at it's better to look back at history than to look forward to what will come. In 1985, it would be hard to look at the action movie genre as a thing that could possibly die.
Yeah, that is true.
And it basically has.
Yeah.
In 1970, it would be hard to look at the Western as a thing that could possibly die, but it did.
Yeah.
And like time and time again, we see like these trends, and like I feel like people eventually meet their saturation point naturally, and then they sort of lose interest.
Yeah.
And I think that force feeding them garbage is going to make them more likely to reach that point than say taking some sort of measure approach where we only put out stuff that's actually worth watching.
Yeah.
Because okay, Law and Order was on for what, like 700 seasons?
At least that many.
And
Just the first incarnation of it.
it continues on in SVU, and SVU is
Yeah.
a show that's too terribly depressing to even bother watching. But so you have that, and like it can fucking work. Like as long as you kept quality coming out, you could have a guaranteed income stream for a long period of time. But instead they're like charging as much on this fucking credit card as they can before their line of credit gets canceled.
I don't know, man.
I don't know which one of those makes more money in the long term, but it's really disappointing as a person who likes the genre to think that in 10 years we might not have comic book movies.
Yeah.
Like there may be no Iron Man, there may be no Captain America. We'll have to look back to the halcyon days of the 2000, to Trump's presidency when
2008
when people would make comic book movies.
Yeah.
And like that's a really sort of depressing thing. Damn it, Midget Radio, you can fucking agree with me.
I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you. I think you're arguing against the course of the history of entertainment media, I guess. Certain things are popular, they last for a while, then they're not so popular. But I mean, we're on a good run.
Do you think that has anything to do with like quality? Like so if you were to watch like the history of video games, like video games exploded onto the scene. You had Pong, and then as soon after that you had Atari and Intellivision and all the other stuff. And like they were pushing out so much product in such a short period of time that eventually it oversaturated the market, and also the quality of the individual products became so low that everybody lost faith in that thing. And while we're not talking about like dollars, we are talking about time, and time is basically money.
Yeah.
So if we're asking people to spend 13 hours watching a fucking season of this shit, like, shouldn't we try to make it good?
I don't know what to tell you. I feel like you're arguing that basically there shouldn't be so much shit and stuff should only be good. And that if it was only good, it would be more sustainable, which I agree with. I think that's pretty straightforward, but it's like, I don't think just reducing the volume of it is going to do anything significant if it's like if it's at a trickle, you have one movie come out one year and it's shit, and you have the other movie come out the next year and it's shit. And then you have a movie come out 2 years from now, and guess what? It sucks too. I don't know. Like I get what you're saying. Volume, yes, sure. It's saturation. It would contribute to that, and fatigue. I get all of that, but it's like if it's good stuff, it's good stuff. Civil War is fucking great, and like that's an amazing movie, and it was still made at the same pace that we've been going at for the past however many years.
What we see in these Netflix series in particular, good ideas. Like we saw decent ideas even in this season of Luke Cage, which we both ranked below average in terms of quality.
Yeah.
And you could even look back to Jessica Jones and Jessica Jones season 1 and 2 actually.
Yeah.
And you find good ideas in there. And rather than being like, what I'm saying is don't let the size of the paper dictate what your drawing is, right?
Sure.
So one of the things you learn when you start, being decent at art is that basically you should create a piece of work that is a complete piece. And like that's what's most important. And then whether or not it fills the page, whatever, you can cut the page down.
Sure.
Eventually you kind of master the craft and you know approximately how big, and you can visualize the whole thing from start to finish, and maybe that's not such a problem. But like I don't feel that they are at that point, because clearly they continue to make really sloppy illustrations here.
Yeah, everything's 13 episodes. I would like to see a slowdown in just the production cycle. So not like the volume of stuff that's coming out, but we don't need to have Cage season 3 like a year from now, or even a year and a half from now. We don't need that. I would like a little bit more time, especially when you've got these fucking Netflix series. I mean, you've got now what, 5 properties here. We don't need like 2 every year or whatever it is. You know, I would like to see. I would just like to see them slow down. I think this season of Cage would have been really great if they had just sat on it a little bit longer. Just let it fucking just develop it a little bit longer. Put it. I don't know, man. But that's how I feel. Like, that's why to me a lot of this stuff ends up just feeling half baked, is because they're fucking rushed. Like, they just slam through the writing and then they jump into the shoot schedule and then shoot it. The fucking post takes however long it takes, and then they put it all out. And I don't think it's enough time.
I think part of it is that they are shooting for a certain mark in terms of the total number of episodes.
I think that's part of it too. Yeah,
it dilutes the product.
Yeah,
like, I mean, another solution, I should say, would be not to fold all these shows into one and then just to have storylines that last as long as they should naturally last.
Yeah.
But maybe like Jessica Jones season 3 is 4 episodes long.
That's awesome. That'd be great. Which is weird to me that, like, because Netflix they're not beholden like to any sort of episode order or anything like that. They're just like, yeah, make this many. We don't give a fuck. It's not a cable network. It's not, you know. We can do that's, and they did that with, like, there was that show The Killing, I think that was on AMC, and I really liked that show, and they brought it back for like a season 3 or 4 or whatever, but it was an abbreviated season. I think it was like 8 episodes or something.
Yeah,
I mean, they've done that shit before.
And if you need to have a 15 episode season, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't run into a situation where that was even remotely necessary.
No.
But, like, I mean, the only shows so far that have done at least a decent to completely passable job filling up 13 episode orders are Daredevil seasons and The Punisher.
Yep.
Everything else has felt like it has been padded with filler.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones is padded with filler.
Yeah.
God damn it, she doesn't even fucking
Private Investigate.
Nope.
Iron Fist is 90% emotional pointlessness.
Disaster. Just a fucking disaster.
Punctuated by occasionally very entertaining fight scenes. But and then Luke Cage is just like zombie walking through 13 episodes of this stuff where they're slowly dripping the plot in until they information vomit it 2 episodes before the last fucking episode of the movie or the TV show season, whatever. That's why we drink while we do this. Anyway,
that's the only way to do it.
But I don't know. I feel like the 13 episode format is hurting them, and I feel like if you do this, particularly with all the characters already introduced and all the characters shared and interwoven, you might as well just make it one show and go. Like, the Punisher can be his own thing at this point because the Punisher basically doesn't play well with others anyway. Yeah. And I feel like Bernthal does such a fucking amazing job in that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go back to an episode of the Wednesday Night Gentleman where we don't bitch about something for an hour and a half, it's just like, John Bernthal's so good. I agree. John Bernthal's the best. Yeah. No, I said it first. John Bernthal is the best.
You know, it's not all Aegon. I didn't like Micro's family. I managed to get that in there. I didn't like his family. That's my complaint.
And your complaint, as I recall, was that they were not as natural or as awesome as the rest of the characters. Not that they were patently bad.
No.
But I mean, like, I want this to continue until I die so that I don't have to live with a world that isn't fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're making these shows and you're putting in half a packet of High C and twice as much water, it's
Yeah.
just gonna taste like shit.
Yeah.
And people are gonna stop wanting it. So
I don't know.
like, find a way to make it work.
I don't know.
Because this season didn't work for either of us.
No.
You went from a 3.5
To a
to
2.
a 2, which
Yeah.
is bad. And I went from a 2 to a 1.5, which is also bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of me, I do understand what you're saying. This season or this show may resonate with other people more than it resonates with me, but I just don't know. I
don't know.
can't, and I'm not even sure that that's necessarily a good thing. But
I don't know.
But-
I guess like I still don't see any signs of any of this letting up. Like there still don't seem to be any cracks in that bubble. Cuz didn't DC and Warner Brothers just announced that they're launching a streaming service themselves, which is somehow going to include like comics, but also originally produced content, Teen Titans and something else. I don't remember what. A totally separate fucking streaming service so they can basically make their own Netflix shows. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's dwindling. It just seems like it continues to fucking expand. Cloak and Dagger is a new show. That's on Freeform, I think.
I guess I guess that we will see what happens, because I hadn't heard that, but I see that there is actually news articles about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It has. Okay, if history has taught us anything, the bubble has to burst at some point.
Of sure. Yeah.
What I am saying is, I am prescribing methods. Dr. Tactic Angel is saying, take your goddamn medicine to stop your comic book aneurysm for another couple of years. And that's
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah.
Because
I get it.
I mean, it was sad when we were growing up, and you're like, you look at it and you're like, why wasn't the Captain America movie awesome?
Yeah.
I mean, it was at the time.
It was. I like that movie.
But looking back at it, you might say it's a little campy.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
And I mean, you got Batman, and Batman was fine. It was mostly great because Keaton's a fucking amazing,
Yeah. Mike
amazing
Keaton's such a
character.
badass.
And Jack does a good job too. So,
Yeah.
you know, like that works, but like that's really an anomaly in a series, in a sea of nothingness.
Yeah.
And we don't want to get back to that sea of nothingness.
Nope.
I got nothing else to add here.
I don't either.
Does that sound like an episode then?
Yep. I'm good with it.
All right, that has been episode number 57 of the Wednesday Night Gentleman Multimedia Empire official podcast. Please give us a like if you enjoyed this show, and please subscribe to our channel. You can also find us on Twitter, where we are at WNG_MME_OPC, or head on over to Facebook, where we are simply the Wednesday Night Gentleman. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you on episode number 58 of this podcast.
Bye-bye.